Hey, how about that? We'll try this again. Hey, everybody, I am Tommy, and you are on the lifeboat. Sorry, new equipment, people. New equipment. I'm learning this stuff. On KK, good to see you. Nesquik, what's happening? Kestrel's here. Good to see you. Martha of the B grade. And from Massachusetts, good to see you. Mischief Managed. Trainee Human. Whoa. Long time no see. And Carnisol, what's happening? Hey, Paula Penley. Simply Sarah. Lisa Trimble's here. Shane is setting the world on fire. And we're going to touch on a little bit of that because what I'm talking about today, there's a lot of Shane involved in this. Leslie Rogers, good to see you. Renee B. Flickfox, Laura. Christy, how you doing? Kristen Melinda, thank you for being you. Nana, what's happening? Nicole. Lilac, good to see you. Video is crystal clear. Well, that's good news. And hopefully the audio is not bad, right? Once I unmute myself. Because we're working with all new equipment here. So hopefully we're killing it. This one's a big story too, people. This really is like, this is what you've been waiting for. Leslie, good to see you. Casey, what's happening? Janet, this is much clearer. I like to hear that. This really is, I'm gonna tap dance a little bit more for a little bit. I'm gonna bury this lead for a few more minutes because I want to get, I don't want to be going over it all day long. This is, however, actually really, really heavy stuff. Demitas, what's happening? David Clark, how you been? The cat lady from the country. I love that. Karma Chameleon. Why, thank you. I appreciate that. Karma Chameleon says, looking better. Lacey Silver, good to see you. Monica, what's up? Lehigh, Star. Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania is on the boat. Glad to have you. What a mammoth show last night. I'll tell you what, man. It was absolutely a mammoth show last night. And I know the haters are busting out already going, oh, man, there's so much of that. That's such BS. How much of it sounded like BS 5 years ago? How much sounded like it was BS 4 years ago or 3 years ago? I tell you what, man. I'll tell you what. This show today is a lot about that, honestly. Hey, Christy, Jane Aldrich, glad you're here. Grammy, this show is honestly going to be about that because what can you believe, what you can't believe? That's a serious question, yeah? CBC, good to see you. Michelle, I say allegedly quite a bit. Lumen, how are you? Because, I'm not a fan of the cat, right? But he has not been convicted of anything just yet, right? Except in the court of public opinion. He has not been convicted of anything yet. Now, I'm fond of saying where there's a hell of a lot of smoke, there's usually a decent amount of fire. And I do believe that is the truth. And there's a hell of a lot of smoke here. Marlo, how are you? Sage Pup, good to see you. Mischief Managed, what's up? Here's the thing. If it's an anomaly, right? If it's one of those things that dude gets accused of something and, the rest of everything this dude's done, this is not something that he's ever been accused of. Those things you go, I don't know. James, how are you? And the reason I say that is people with bad wiring don't stop what they're doing, right? Some of them don't get caught, which is sad, but they don't stop what they're doing. It's not one of those kind of diseases. Feisty Irish, good to see you. Tractor. The genie is out of the bottle. Absolutely true, man. The genie is out of the bottle. Caddy, what's happening? Here's the deal. So on the Shannon Atwood program the other day, I was on there with a gentleman by the name of Courtney Burgess. He is a music executive, right? Anne Marie, good to see you. He's a music executive that been in the industry a long time. Got in right around the same time as Diddy. If you've watched us over there, then you probably have a pretty good idea of what this guy's story is. And the story is this. The story is a long time ago, somebody reached out to him and gave him what is allegedly the Kim Porter book, right? Now, he will be the first to tell you that the Kim Porter book that was on Amazon, not the same thing, right? What he got is the unedited version of that book, right? And along with the book, because you go, oh, come on, man, right? So there's another, right? Last words of Kim Porter. Sure. What this has that the other one didn't seem to have are receipts, allegedly, a lot of receipts. Now, you can sit here and go, oh, I don't know, man. I don't know. But what makes this one a little different is yesterday, Courtney was in front of the grand jury in New York. Angela, good to see you. Nat B from Canada. How are you? Courtney was in front of Nat B. Look, I'm not, there was a lot of really disturbing things. This cat is not, he's not, I don't know what the word I'm looking for. He's not in 2024, I'll tell you that. But I think you're going to find, right now, we have radio silence, right? We've been talking about this for a long time. There's not a peep coming out of Hollywood, right? You're not hearing anything. But I think you're going to be surprised at how many stupid comments you hear from people that you would expect an awful lot more from, honestly. And I'm not giving anybody a pass, right? Jenny, good to see you. I'm not giving anybody a pass. Yeah, SP says, I'm gutted about the DOGG being the, right? So this is where it gets crazy, though. If the feds subpoena this guy for the grand jury, and then this dude goes up to the grand jury and drops all of this stuff, right? All of this stuff on the grand jury. Allegedly, 11 flash drives were handed over to the federal government. 11 flash drives. And on those 11 flash drives, I would imagine are a lot of things, but there are also, to be sure, 8 videos. Allegedly, these 8 videos have on them 8 stars, right? 8 well-known individuals, 8 celebrities, 8 whatever you want to call them. 6 of them are men and 2 of them are women. Allegedly, 2 of them are underage for sure. And they are both men, or I guess they would have been boys at the time. Disturbing, yeah? Rosanna Dana. Thoughts and prayers going out for Rosanna Dana, please. I understand about the, this is, I think there's going to be a lot of stuff that's going to happen where we go, I'm gutted. So 2 of the men were boys when this happened, right? And perhaps one of the women. In all of these cases, these stars are not participating in the freak off the way that Sean Combs participates in the freak off, allegedly, right? These 8 people were being victimized by Sean Puffy Combs, right? That is what is alleged. And you can allege this stuff and you can say all the stuff you want out in the world. However, once the feds say, hey, I want to see that stuff, there's only 2 answers, right? And one of them is, yeah, well, I'm kind of a liar. I said a lot of stuff, but I don't really have anything to back it up. The other option is, see you Thursday, right? So this dude did show up on Thursday, and he did go in and testify in front of the grand jury. Now, what exactly happened? We don't know. But what we do know is, hey, V. McWilliams, SP, good to see you. What we do know is this. Once the first meeting was over, Frankie, you doing all right? They started to, they had to go over and then have a hearing to discuss exactly what evidence was going to be turned over, what evidence wasn't going to be turned over, what they could hold on to, yada, yada, yada. Now, although these things have been turned over, they most obviously, there are copies of them. And there's certainly a copy of it on the street because last night on, I believe it was Law and Crime Network, Courtney went on Law and Crime Network right after he left the grand jury, and I believe it was the Ashley Banfield program. I don't remember what the name of her program is, but Ashley Banfield, who I like, I think she does a pretty good job. But Ashley Banfield was interviewing him along with Ariel Mitchell. Now, if you go, hey, I know that name, Ariel Mitchell. We talked about this. Got to be almost a month ago now, right? This was the attorney that said, I've got a client, right, who's trying to sell a catch and kill. It almost looked like she was doing an infomercial for blackmail. I'm not an attorney. Taylor Miller, how are you? Incarnasol, what's happening? Frankie Fortnite. Anne-Marie, good to see you. Nana, what's up? My sweet Nana, I dig it. Hey, crushy kick for 5 days. So yeah, whether or not you think this guy is a dirtbag, and I think you could definitely make some arguments for this guy is kind of in the dark ages when it comes to certain things, and especially when you start talking about SA and the survivors of SA. There's just really some stupid stuff said. I think you're going to see a lot of that, and I'm basing this on the number of emails that I get from individuals not burdened by deep thought, right? People not burdened by deep thought that make arguments for the Diddy camp. Okay, back to Ariel Mitchell. This is the woman that did the catch and kill. She was saying that she had a tape, and on the tape was a client of hers, was a star that was far more well known than the diddler. This is what she alleged, right? She went on television and said, I got a clip, saw it. She didn't say she had it in her possession, but she saw a clip letting her know that without a doubt, this was a sexual liaison of some sort that was taking place. And Sean Combs was in that video, as was a very famous individual, according to Ariel Mitchell, far more well-known than the diddler. And you would all agree upon that. That was kind of what she said, that as soon as you hear this name, you're going to go, oh, damn, that is bigger, right? That kind of a thing. Now, was this the same stuff, right? How long has she been representing Courtney would be the question, right? How long has she been representing that cat? Because that very well may have been the same stuff they were shopping around, right? Or she was shopping around 3 or 4 weeks ago. And that to me is a fascinating concept. Yeah. I think that's wildly fascinating. But back then, I don't know. I'm not trying to bust on anybody ever, right? I really am not. It's not my get down if I can avoid it. I mean, except, Sean Combs is fun to take shots at, because when you start to hear what this cat has been doing for the last 3 decades, I mean, there are people that aren't people, I guess. There really are. There are some people that just quite simply aren't people. But the attorney, Ariel Mitchell, I get a vibe off of her that's just, I mean, I think she's a hustler. And I don't mean that like she's conning you hustler. I mean, like she's out there drumming up business. She's making it happen. Like that kind of hustler. Like she takes her career seriously, and she is making sure that she's putting herself into this, getting herself in position to make a pile of cash. It's kind of what it looks like. And I'm not mad at anybody that's trying to make a pile of cash at all. But sometimes you see an attorney and you get that feeling and you go, yeah, you know what? If they were picking on an attorney on Saturday Night Live, they would build somebody that kind of reminds you of this person. And I get that kind of vibe. Is that an uncool thing to say? There's a documentary on Chris Brown, apparently on HBO. I have not heard about that. Anybody else heard about that? I have not. But we're going to see some crazy stuff happening, people. Some really crazy stuff happening. That same lawyer was on there. Oh, never saw the documentary. I know the case. Okay. Yes, absolutely. She represented that person, and the person had to back off of the suit, right? Correct me if this comes out wrong, but my memory of that incident was it was alleged that Chris Brown essayed a person on his yacht, and then afterwards, a lot of text messages came out that were supposed to be this girl reaching out to him and saying, leading you to believe that they wanted to get together for another liaison, and the attorney, Mitchell, said it wasn't that she didn't believe her client. She still absolutely believed her client. But the fact that the client didn't tell her, didn't disclose to her everything about the text messages and all of that stuff, that was the reason that they kind of went their separate ways. However, allegedly, they're bringing that lawsuit again. That's what is being alleged right now is that, yes, that lawsuit is being brought again. Is it possible that Diddy could get the death penalty? You know what? Not for the crimes that you're listing right there, which I'm not going to say out loud, right? But in theory, he could. Absolutely, in theory, he could. But you would have to start getting some bodies put on him, right? There would have to be some people. You would have to be able to prove. David from Australia, good to see you. You'd have to be able to prove that Mr. Combs unalived some people, right? Sent people to the great beyond. If you could prove that, and boy, there's a lot of smoke around that too, isn't there? I'm not saying, I'm not saying that the guy's ever whacked anybody or had somebody whacked. I'm not. However, there is a crap load of people around that dude who get a kind of pneumonia that seems odd as hell to me, right? What did they call it yesterday? Limonia. And it's not. I mean, I'm not laughing at the. These are victims, but he was allegedly. Right? There are people out there that say this was a hey Jarhead. This was a chemical weapons attack. This is how he was taking care of the individuals out there that were in the way of him making a hell of a lot of money, being with the girl that he wanted to be with. Whatever got in his way, allegedly, he used methods to get things out of his way. And one of those methods was chemicals, right? That yacht may have cameras on it. Yeah, right? It's funny you say that. It was alleged that on another yacht, the one that Little Rod was on, that the Sean Combs' son, right, is being accused of trying to essay a girl on that boat. And it allegedly took place in the recording studio while Little Rod was recording. So the word is that not only do they have proof of it happening, but they have proof of it happening, right, on in 12 track or whatever the hell they were, right? They could bring up a little bass in it if they wanted to. There's a soundtrack to it. I think that a lot of the stuff that we've been talking about, a lot of the stuff that people have been looking at, that where it just almost seems insane, they just subpoenaed that guy in front of the grand jury, right? We're going to see, they don't reconvene grand juries so that they can all get together and play cards, right? Or get together and BS about, seeing anything good on YouTube. It's not that kind of an arrangement, right? At all. Yeah, the superseding indictments absolutely could be covering drug stuff. Bill Herrera, absolutely it could. And in fact, it's almost logical because in the original indictment, they do list, right, narcotics in there. But I do think there's an excellent chance the superseding indictments are going to be, I think we're going to see one of two things big time, right? I think one of two things is going to happen. Hold on a second. Flick Fox, other than victims coming forward and naming people involved, do you think people making unfounded claims, releasing books, not willing to testify could potentially negatively impact the case and the trial? I think this is a zoo. It's a great question, Flick Fox. I think this is a zoo, right? I don't think that we've ever seen anything quite like it, right? For real. This is a worldwide phenomenon that I get emails like nothing I've ever done before. I get emails from every corner of the planet that are so on the edge about this, right? You have to have a crime, right? That is something that they will execute you for. And in the feds, I know that like certain crimes with a T, like what happened in Oklahoma City, remember that? Those kind of people can get the unalive sentence in the feds. But I don't think the vast majority of them, you can't, it has to, you just can't go, ooh, this one was really bad. We should probably give them the electric chair. It has to be a statute that they break that gets you eligible to get the chair, so to speak. You know what? Yeah, someone is doing this. Someone is doing, who was it? Was it Hollywood Wade, right? I believe it's Hollywood Wade. Yeah, the question concerning the thumbs up, thumbs down. There's a reason that I didn't ask that question. I knew what the answer was going to be, right? And the answer was going to be that is not something that I can comment on, right? I between the time that I said that I really wanted to hear the answer to that and the time that I was able to actually get on with her in person, that changed dramatically, right? It changed. And that's not a question. And I understand. And I don't want her to answer any questions that are going to make her have a larger target on her back, because let's keep it real. This dude, this isn't a joke. This is really a dangerous individual, right? Where's his drug mule? Huh? Where's KK? I have a feeling we're going to find out, right? I have a feeling that we're going to find out these people are somewhere out of the eye of the public, right? I don't know if it's WITSEC. I don't know if they just got them in a hotel room, right? Or they moved them to another town. But yeah, this isn't good. This is not good at all. But I would imagine that there were people on that witness list that they have got to try to keep away from him, right? As we talked about yesterday, he reached out to somebody that was on the witness list, somebody big time on the witness list, 53 times in a day. So it's a whole lot of trying to shut somebody up, right? SP, you absolutely could be right. Absolutely could be right. Here's the good news, people. I know that everybody continues to bring up how we can compare this to Epstein, right? This is a very different case than Epstein. It's a very, very different case than Epstein. The Epstein case, the people involved in that were at a completely different level of frightening, right, than are the people that I think the names we're going to see come out in this Diddy case. We're not going to see the kind of power, right? I mean, keep it real. What were we talking about? We're talking about, I mean, huge politicians. Someone is now going to say, there's a picture with him, and you're going to either pick Obama or you're going to pick Trump, depending on which side you lead to. There are pictures. Pictures with politicians aren't a problem, right? That's not the issue. The issue is if you got a picture of a politician without any clothing on, if you got a picture of a politician in a room with a kid, right? Those are the kind of things that are going to be a problem. Do you think there are other suspicious clips out there? Now, I'll tell you something right now. If you've read the book that Cassie wrote, if you read the one that was on Amazon, right? Then what you got to start thinking is what Courtney says is that book, it's not a wildly different book. It's just that one is PG, right? And the other one is not. One of them has things like X, 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 X. The other does not. So one's got names in it, peeps, right? One literally tells you what the hell is going on, right? Yeah, yep. But if that's the case, if everything that was in that first book, we're just going to see a heavier duty version of it, well, then I think, and I'm not, can take no joy in this whatsoever, right? But I think, two underage men, right? Two underage men are on the part of the 8 videos that were turned over, right? And 2 of those men were underage. A lot of speculation is happening already that could be Bieber. There's also a lot of speculation. Miss Dragon, good to see you. There's also a lot of speculation that the other one might be Usher. There's no way to tell, right? There's no way to tell yet. But I'll tell you something. This guy has no intention of burying this. That's not. It's really. At least that's the vibe we got was he doesn't care. Yes, that's a good question. Lehigh Star asks, do you think by now the diddler is eating the jailhouse food? To be sure, right? By now he has to. I know that there are rumors out there that he's got food being made for him and all that. Ain't no way. I promise you, there's no way. I'll tell you something. I saw a comment, and the last thing on planet Earth that I want to do is let this thing get political because there's no need for it, right? But I will tell you this: we are in November, right? And you're all familiar with the October surprise. If there was stuff out there, right? If there was stuff out there right now that could hurt either party, it would be worth, right? What, 8 digits? Easy 8 digits, right? Probably a high 8 digits. I don't see anybody holding on to that for any reason, right? People being scared or whatever. Yeah. I mean, you could dump something for $50 million. Most people do it. And I promise you could get $50 million. In fact, you could probably do a catch and kill and see which party wanted to buy it the most. Usher, victim or predator or both? It's a great question, right? There are people who will tell you that Usher was an integral part of grooming Justin Bieber, right? And shepherding him, so to speak, on the road to Diddyville, right? That there are a lot of people that say this, right? There's a lot of people that come to his defense as well. If by some chance, there's truth to that, then obviously he would be a victim and a predator. We know from testimony from people or interviews done with people like Gene Deal, right? One of Diddy's early bodyguards. He said, right? He talked about Diddy going to taking Usher to an emergency room, straight out. And the reason he was going to the emergency room was not something that he was going to release. He said that is between Usher, it's his story to tell, right? But it was really obvious if you watch this. It was super obvious that what he was talking about was an injury that was from sex. He was injured somehow while having sex, which is a bummer. It's a horrific thing to think about what Justin Bieber may have had to endure. But I think what we're going to be looking at is it is Jarhead. It's really, really sad stuff. And unfortunately, it's real. Yeah, something. Johnny's right. Again, not to do the political thing because it's not what I'm doing. But he makes a good point, right? No one wants to talk about kids. Nobody wants to talk about kids. Yeah, Lehigh Star. Absolutely, Diddy is going nuts. If you've never been incarcerated, right? This is something that you probably can't wrap your dome around. But when you're on the street running and gunning, if you're living a crap life, if you're on the street, can't feed yourself, it's a culture shock to go from that to being locked up. Think about the things that we take for granted as people. Getting in automobiles. Seriously, think about when's the last time in your life you went 6 months without riding in an automobile? Doesn't happen, right? I mean, there's just certain things that all of a sudden now, life just changes. Like there's absolutely no way to explain to you what a shock it must be for somebody like Sean Combs. This is not somebody that was living bad on the street. This is a guy who was living like a friggin' emperor on the street. He had a personal chef. Have you ever watched any of the videos where he's in there going, I think I want grits, maybe get some shrimp in there. It's like being in a restaurant. This is how this dude lived, whether he was on the left or the East Coast, right? West Coast, East Coast. This is how he was living, right? Fern, I don't have any control over closed captioning. You should be able to put closed captioning on, but you're not going to be able to do it while it's live, right? It's going to take a little bit of time to decipher me. I assume it's because I'm talking fast. I could probably slow down a little bit. I apologize. Especially if you're from another country, I got to be a little rugged to try to keep up with. I apologize. I apologize. Yeah, Lee I start. Where he's going to be at now, right? Realistically, where he's going to be at now. Gordon Jackson, good to see you. So when you go in and you're kicking an opiate, no matter how bad your habit was, right? No matter how gnarly your habit was, unless the opiate you're on is like methadone or something like that, something with a ridiculously long half-life, something that stays in your system a really, really long time before you can process it out. That's not the case with most opioids. With most opioids, your body takes whatever comes in, rearranges it into morphine, and then processes it out. And with most opiates, 72 hours later, it's out of your system. So within 4 or 5 days of being in there, the diddler should have been out of the woods in terms of being sick. Sick as in vomiting, not being able to control your bowels, like that kind of stuff would be over within the first week and a half. There's no way that would still be going on. What he's dealing with now is a utter inability to sleep at all. I mean, insomnia, like a horrific kind of insomnia, which is fun because he's got an awful lot of time to think about all of the people that he victimized. And I'm not saying this to be a wise ass. I'm saying this because he knows that all of these allegations are out there, right? There's 100 more lawsuits coming. And he's laying in his rack going, and I've been there, not for these kind of crimes, but you lay in bed and you go, oh my God, if they ad book me on this one, right? If they find out about this. In fact, when the bank robbery stuff was going on, and I was arrested on that, I had ripped off a sports book, right? And I had never gotten caught for it. And the statutes of limitations was not up on it. And I remember sitting in there just sweating bullets. And I was a heroin addict. So trying to come off the dope, there's no sleep at all. And while you can't sleep, you're laying in there and running through anything that they might ad book you for, anything you might get a superseding indictment on. But fortunately, I went away, and by the time I got out, the statute of limitations was up on it. The next time I got caught, I wanted to see if I could cut a deal. If I said, hey, if I tell you who robbed that thing, is there any way we could cut a deal? And the dude was like, yeah, now the statute of limitations is up. We wouldn't deal on that. He's like, you can tell us if you want to. He said, but we couldn't give you anything on it. I was trying to like backdoor that in and tell him myself, but didn't work out. Didn't work out. Imagine the relief that Cassie is feeling now that he is behind bars. I think that that's probably not only Cassie. I think this is a multitude of people. I think this guy bummed people out in the industry for a very long time. I think that he was the bully on the playground that everybody was afraid of. People were going to hear a lot of insensitive cats saying stuff like, if this really happened, why didn't he or she come forward years ago? Why didn't they sue a long time ago? And I think we're going to find out that they went and saw attorneys. In a lot of cases, they tried to pursue stuff. And what you had was attorneys going, yeah, this guy's got, $1 billion to go up against him and a legal team. It's just not really going to be worth them taking a shot at it. And we know, according to Busby, that about half of the cases that he has investigated reported it to the police. Right? Reported it to the police. It seems that everyone in the world was afraid of this guy. Allegedly, he SA'd a guy in Macy's, right, in the stock room with 3 of his bodyguards watching. He whips this guy in the face with his pew-pew and then forces the guy to perform oral sex on him while 3 other people watch, right? This is one of the things that is to have been alleged to take place in New York. When this guy reported it to the higher ups, he was fired. That sounds like everybody was afraid of Diddy, because when the kid then complained, he got fired from Mark Echo, right? All the way to the top. First, he got bounced out of that store, but that wasn't good enough, right? Diddy wanted him out of the industry. He didn't want to have to run into this guy at other events or stuff like that. I want him gone. Dude's gone. And this happened with Wendy Williams, right? Wendy Williams had a picture that was taken, I think, down in the Bahamas, but the picture was of Diddy and somebody kind of like pantsing him from behind or whatever. It just didn't look good. Apparently it did. It looked really bad, like maybe worse even than it was, right? It looked really bad. And he just said, fire that woman, right? You're going to fire her or you're not going to play anything from my music catalog. And they said, hey, that's not very, all right, get out, right? They fired her, plain and simple. He scared everybody. He did. He scared gangsters. You don't think he's going to scare people that weren't in that life? Right? A lot of times we look at it and we're like, yeah, these phony gangsters or this, this dude had a lot of firepower laying around his house. I mean, seriously, 7 ARs, that's a lot of weaponry. That's a fairly decent collection. And the fact that you obliterated the serial numbers on 3 of them, you do understand that no one in the history of humanity removed a serial number, right, for any other reason other than the fact that they were getting ready to commit a crime, right? They were getting ready to commit a crime, or they already did, in that the pew is stolen already. Does no good, by the way. Getting rid of them, honestly, they got ways of pulling those numbers off of pews. I know so many people that tried to obliterate one, got the extra charge, and nonetheless, right, did not get hooked up at all. Yeah, ugly. Comment. Abercrombie. Okay, hold on. They need to sue the mom and kids to get their pay. The Florida transport case. They all say seems to be the alleged things, like the victim chased money, chased power, consented. It's a playbook, right? Burn it. I think it is a playbook. No joke, right? I think this is how you get disgustingly wealthy in the entertainment business. You don't just find stars. You find them, you create them, and you own them. You own them. If you Google what stars, right, use auto-tune more than any other stars, right? What stars need that so badly because they can't carry a tune in a bucket? I'm not going to smut any of them up, but you can go ahead and do that later. And I think you'll get a good laugh out of some of the big time names of people that you don't need a whole lot of help, right? There are people that can go out there on stage and bust it out, right? They could have absolutely no, they could do it a cappella, right? Where they're just singing. They can do it without any kind of amplification and no special effects, right? No filters of the voice, so to speak. But they find these Timu rappers, right? These guys, they may be able to write lyrics. In some cases, maybe they don't. Because in some cases, this dude could just say to a friend, hey, I'm just going to make you famous. We'll make you a rapper. It doesn't even matter if you can carry a tune because we'll auto-tune the hell out of it. And it doesn't matter whether you can write a rhyme because we'll just get somebody to write them for you. Same with the beats, same with all that. But if you got a good backstory and you've been locked up or whatever, and we can sort of push you out there as a gangsta, say what you will, right? No way around it. Pretty ugly stuff, man. Yeah, apparently they can use auto-tune when they're live. That's disturbing. That's disturbing. Hold on one second here. Thank you, S.E. Mac. It's a nice thing to say. Diddy will be in prison until the sun burns out. He ruined his life and many others' lives. What a damn shame. Yeah, no question, right? No question. Gene Deal has said this is a tragedy, right? On the kind of level as, something that would have been written by Shakespeare, right? Like Richard or like, Romeo and Juliet kind of tragedy. Because this was a guy that could have been all the BS that his lawyer says he is. right? A philanthropist, a great humanitarian, a good dad, a guy that just, pets kittens and puppies, right? No, he's a guy that has 1,000 bottles worth of baby oil, right? Cut with a crap load of G so that he can throw these things he calls freak offs, where allegedly he brings in these famous people, gets them hammered, right, on these substances, and then has professional sex workers abuse them, right, while he rubs out a giggity in the corner. This guy's not allegedly, right? Not normal. This is a control thing. Hence the reason to have it videoed. Everything, right? Everything videoed. Well, currently, the word is, that the grand jury has this. You do know what grand juries do, right? They indict people. If what he says is true, then what we're looking at is the rug getting jerked out from underneath the diddler. This will be a time where he might want to get with his attorney and start thinking real seriously about cutting a deal. If, by some chance, everything that Courtney alleges that he turned over to these people, if in fact that's the truth, the fact that one of these people is underage takes his defense and lights it on fire. His defense is, she's a very kinky girl, right? They're super freaks, man. The kind you don't bring home to mother. No lie, that's the defense. You may not groove to our lifestyle. You may not understand our lifestyle, but the way we show love, the way that we bond as a couple and really show love is for me to bring in, a basketball team worth of adult film actors, to pull a train on her while he films over the course of a 2-day period of time until everybody is so beat that he's got to bring somebody in that can run IV bags of fluid. Holy hell, man. You can't make this up. For real, man. If I wrote this out, the ham sandwiches, they can absolutely indict a ham sandwich. If I wrote this out, nobody would believe it. If I said, hey, I got a screenplay and I did this, say, 10, 15 years ago, people would have been like, yeah, that's just stupid. You know what I mean? That's just stupid. They will indict a ham sandwich. This is a very, very old joke, right? Trouble is you then have to prosecute the ham sandwich. If you're just getting here, right? If you're just getting here, yesterday, our friend that was on with the Sean Atwood program with me the other day, his name is Courtney Burgess. And he was in the music industry. This individual is the guy who claims that he has the original version of Kim Porter's book. Not the watered down version that you saw with her picture on it. The cover he's got on his book is a director's chair. And he tells why that is. He says that Diddy was the director. If you wanted to move up in life, you had to sit on his lap. Plain and simple. If you didn't, then you weren't going anywhere. And that was his get down. He was the director. He wanted to control everybody's life. On the back cover of the book is a picture of 3 different plastic or silicone devices designed to insert in someone's rectum, going larger with each size for the purpose of getting him ready for whatever was coming next. But allegedly they had been used on Ja Rule. This is what they will say. Do I think this will stop or slow down the behaviors? Hold on one second. Do you think they are getting rid of the elders in each industry? It seems so. They're getting old and they need new blood. You cynical. Yeah, it does look that way, though, doesn't it? Honestly, that's a bit cynical, but I think you're damn right. Because it looks that way, doesn't it? Right? And I'll tell you something. These guys can play it, right? These guys can play it. Clive Davis is out there doing the Sean who? Like he's 1,000 years old and he's never heard of the guy, right? If Diddler was the director, who was the producer? That's the question, isn't it? Yeah, makers, that's what they are. They were butt plugs. And apparently he was a big fan of them. Gene Deal talks about the fact that Diddy bought them in really large quantities, man. Like he gets his butt plugs in by the bag. Do you think Milli Vanilli should be reinstated? Yeah, here's the deal. Milli Vanilli was so funny. If you didn't live through that, man, I bet Diddy drinks blood too. You know what? Would you be surprised at anything at this point? Huh? Would you be surprised by anything at this point? I wouldn't. There are people, look, we'll go there, right? Because there are people that are already saying that animals, right, were ritualistically removed from the planet, right, for sacrificial purposes. That has been alleged by more than one person, right? In fact, that's continuing to come up. Now, I would imagine that the prosecution is trying to back off on some of this stuff so that it doesn't sound like, I'm sorry, what? You know, does he have fangs? Yeah, S.E. Mac, that got brought up too. That got brought up too. And you know something? They're trying to do away with that word, believe it or not. They want it to be called a zoophile. Sick crap right there. But if, you know, people go, oh, come on, no one would do that. Who would do that? Who would do that? Who would knock somebody out with chemicals, right, for 4 or 5 hours and pass them around like a toy, knowing full well that when they wake up, they're going to know, right? This is not a situation that, you know, you're going to wake up and go, geez, I must have slept funny. You know, these are people that need to see a doctor when they're done, right? Tearing and bruising. And these are sick people. He allegedly assaulted one woman, essayed one woman with a TV remote control, right? Or the first thing that he could grab nearby. Hey, squirrel nut zipper. Anybody that can do this kind of stuff, you got to get to a point where you believe that they're capable of anything. Nothing would surprise me about this dude. Come on there, squirrel. What are you doing? We're not going to explore the desk today. You know, the Illuminati hand signs. I know that a lot of people laugh at this, and yeah, it's just people who it's just people that make those sort of diamond things with their hands. Lots of people do that. I can show you. I went down that rabbit hole. I went down that rabbit hole, and if you want to find the number of hand signals that Diddy has thrown, all of them that are allegedly can be tied back to, to at least secret societies that have been documented in this country, right? Whether or not, you know, people want to argue about Illuminati or all of those things. I did a rabbit hole on a group of people that ran a sex cult here in the U.S. Right. In fact, I'm going to be talking about that on an upcoming show. It was called the Royal Order of Justice, and they are a group of sick SOBs. But this kind of stuff, right? The treating human beings like they're not human beings, treating people like they are to be sold. You understand the concept, right? This is exactly what this sick SOB is being accused of, right? You're bringing people across state lines for your entertainment, and you're going to make them stand on a scale. Yeah. You're going to make them stand on a scale because you wouldn't want one over 140. And tattoos now, got to have long hair. Don't want the hair short. By the way, her rack better be busting out the top of her shirt. And the mini skirt, I want to see butt cheeks. This is what this dude, like he had a hit list of exactly what he wanted for the people that were going to be recruited, not for the parties. And I'll tell you what, you can go and look at pictures of his parties where there were dancers and all kinds of people there that, you know what? He had women of all kinds of sizes, normal women, regular women. I mean, everybody. And as you got, you know, through the routine, see the people that needed to get on the scale, that wasn't for a party. That was for an orgy, right? That's what's being alleged. Don't get it messed up. That wasn't to get into the party. There's tons of people in that party that are going to be, no, this is the people that he wants to videotape. These are the people that he wants to abuse. So if you're just getting here, yesterday, Courtney Burgess handed over, allegedly, to the grand jury in New York, 11 flash drives, right? And there were 8 videos of 8 different celebrities being assaulted by Sean Combs. He does not allege that they were being assaulted by anybody other than Sean Combs. there were 6 men and 2 women that made up the 8 videos. 2 of the men, to be sure, were underage. This is what is alleged. And of the 2 women, one may have been. Wasn't sure the age of the actress at that time. All bad, man. All bad. And I'll tell you something. This is going to be one of those things that I believe wholeheartedly that, and I've said this before, we're going to watch somebody leak something. We're going to watch somebody let something out. And then I believe we're going to see the floodgates, so to speak, open up. And I'll tell you something, the superseding indictments, they're meeting, the grand jury is meeting for a reason. And that reason is, my humble opinion, is that all of these lawsuits that people are bringing up right now, right? You can't sit there and listen to the idea that allegedly he did this to a 9-year-old, right? And not go, I'm going to need to see that, right? I'm going to need to see that. You did it to a 10-year-old, I'm going to need to see that. You did it to anybody under the age of 18. We're going to need to see that. And we're going to need to see that because it is devastating to their case, right? Vicard, good to see you. I mean, devastating. For real. This destroys their defense. No, you're not just freaks, right? You're not just freaks. This isn't how you show love. This is a business model. This is a business model. Lehigh Star, that's the question, isn't it? But it's not, it really is not about, to me, I think, and you're going to, theory, right? Make no mistake. This is a theory, 100% theory. That's it. This is my theory. I'm not alleging this. This is my theory. I think this guy was producing, right? I think this guy was producing this stuff in some cases to sell. I think this guy was doing this because there are sick people out there, right, that want this kind of entertainment. There are sick people out there that that this is their get down. There's a case going on in France. I talked about this yesterday, where a guy had done this to his wife, and the 2 substances he used were lorazepam, right? Heavy amounts of lorazepam, and the sleep drug Ambien. And he did this to his wife for a decade. For a decade. Spanx Calhoun, can you, the comment that says, do I think they were distributing? I think they were selling. I absolutely think they were selling, but I think they were selling to a pretty exclusive clientele, because it would cost, I would imagine, a damn fortune, right? For this kind of, you're buying famous people on tape violated. I would imagine that was probably an expensive thing. Now, the guy that did this in France, as it turns out, there's a community, right? No one should be shocked, I guess, right? No one should be shocked. For real. I mean, if you came out online and said, you know, what really gets me off, I only have sex in wheelchairs, and you got to hit me in the face with a carp while we do it, and I have to be completely covered in extra virgin olive oil, there'd be 200 people that would pop up there that day and go, oh yeah, I've been doing that for years. Been doing that for years. You know, have you tried it with a trout? For real. That's the world that we live in. Do I think they're distributing? I do. And I also think they're distributing narcotics. I do. I think that, and I've said this before, but if you were actually in that life, if you were a gangster, right? You really were. Like you slung dope for a living. You were on the streets, right? Moving weight. If you have access to private jets that can fly you all over the U.S., and you're not going through airports, and you're not doing all the kind of stuff that regular old po folk got to do, then I would imagine that the temptation to get on a plane with a backpack full of blow or something else, you have to realize that most of that stuff, especially in inner cities, is moved by gangs. right? I don't know how close you've been following this, right? I don't know how close you've been following this, but two of the biggest gangs on earth keep coming up again and again and again and again, right? One's red, one's blue. I don't say the name of gangs on my channel. Never really want to piss any of them off, right? Save the trout. Kristen Melinda, you're funny. Hashtag save the trout. Yeah. Hillary, you're going to catch up. I've got faith in you. Tommy, so Jamal Millwood is legit because he's involved with both versions of the book. People question his legitimacy after the first book. Well, we don't know 100%. All right. I wish I could say, yeah, 100% legit. We don't know that. What we know is this. Allegedly, he turned over 11 flash drives. On those 11 flash drives are 8 famous people being assaulted by the diddler. Those are receipts right there, right? Those are receipts. And what everybody said concerning the book, even originally, was, look, when this was handed over, it wasn't handed over without receipts. This thing was handed over with flash drives, or whatever they were calling them then, because they weren't calling them flash drives, zip drives, whatever. But they had this, right? There was evidence for this. And here it is, right? It certainly looks the part, man. It looks the part, especially when the feds validate it, right? The feds say, yeah, we want to see what you got. We want to see what you got. TC says, who is Courtney Burgess? Well, Courtney Burgess is a gentleman who has been on the Sean Atwood program a couple of times. You can catch it. We did an interview with him 2 days ago. Question, do you think that Diddy used the same person that Kris Jenner used to sell the Ray J and Kim K sex videos? I think that the kind of videos he's making are sold to a different kind of people. I think that the kind of videos that he is making, there are sick bastards all over this planet that consider themselves collectors of this kind of stuff, right? I'm talking about, truthfully, the scum of the earth, right? These are people without souls, right? And if you go that, it just can't be. Oh, it can, right? It absolutely can. There are people out there that don't really get any kind of gratification if they're not doing something to someone who is unconscious. So it's a disturbing concept, right? But obviously, this was a big part, allegedly, of this guy's everything, right? Everything this guy did in life had a lot to do with this. You know, the 1,000 bottles of personal lubricant and baby oil, if it was just personal lubricant and baby oil, would be disturbing. Absolutely. Can things leaked still be used as evidence? Absolutely it can. Yeah, no problem. No problem. Now, sometimes you can go in front of a judge and the judge will say, and the people will say, you prejudiced the entire, we're not going to be able to find a jury. This judge has already kind of come down on that. The Cassie Ventura tape that was leaked. The defense wants that thrown out, right? And of course they do, because it's devastating to their case, right? It makes him look like somebody that beats women and very comfortably lies about it, right? It's kind of how it looks. So we will never see or hear about the people being assaulted by the diddler's minions. You know what? On the bright side, thank you, Lisa Trimble, for your never-ending support. Matrix Rabbit, I don't know, man. I don't know. Here's the thing. We're hearing over and over and over again situations where the diddler says, do this to my bodyguard, right? Or says to the bodyguard, do this so that he can pleasure himself. I think we're going to see these people indicted. I don't think that the government is going to be cool with I don't think the government's going to be cool with that kind of testimony. And I don't think that kind of accusation, they're going to be cool with you cutting a deal on to walk, right? The people that witnessed the stuff, maybe, right? Maybe they can go in there and say, I was so afraid of Sean Combs that I didn't come forward and I didn't say anything. Maybe that flies. You cut a deal and you give up everything you know, and maybe you get probation or something like that. But if you SA'd people with them and videoed it, I just don't think that they're going to need your testimony that bad that they need to give you a sweetheart deal. I think that the more we hear this, right? If Mr. Burgess, in everything that he alleges is a fact, then they just absolutely smacked Diddy in the head with a baseball bat, didn't they? I mean, honestly, if everything he says is legit, 8 videos of 8 stars being violated. All bad. Now, there are a lot of people who are taking bets under the jail, right? No question. Johnny Scoville says under the jail is where that dude belongs. Yeah, or I like the idea of the old cement overshoes. You know what I mean? You take them out and just get them some really heavy footwear and toss them off a boat. What's the name of that really deep thing in the ocean? Marianas Trench. Isn't that what it's called? It's further deep than Everest is tall. I can't remember whether it's twice as deep or something like that, but that would be justice, right? Thank you, Anne-Marie. You're too kind. Does anyone know if Chris Todd, the flash drives, are copies from Courtney? So this is what I'm getting, right? Here's the way this is just a theory, by the way. This is just a theory. But so Chris Todd, I have seen so far 3 interviews with people who were given the Kim Porter manuscript. And I'm not a whiz of a journalist. This is all over the place. Like, you're not going to have a problem finding a lot of people that say that they were given that book. This copy, however, question, will they? That's a really good question too. And I will get that. Toby, that's a great question. Yeah. Does anyone know if Chris Todd is the flash eyes? Different person unless he grayed the beard. No, it's a different person. The question becomes, how many people were given this book? But Burgess says that the unedited version, there's only one unedited version of this book, according to him. And he has it. That's his story, and he's sticking to it. And until we know otherwise, I have no reason to doubt that. Nobody else seemed to go, hey, here are those flash drives. Everyone else said there are flash drives in existence, right? I don't have them, but I know that there are flash drives in existence. There's evidence. I don't have that evidence, but I know that it exists. Burgess goes, yeah, here it is. Hands it over to him. That's a little bit different. That is a little bit different. The moral of the story is you never know anybody, not even your best friends, says Barbie. I'll tell you what, you know what the moral of the story is for me? Huh? The moral of the story is don't let your kids get anywhere near Hollywood, right? And if you're smart, maybe keep your ass out of Hollywood too. The entertainment business, I feel so bad for people that have legitimate skill and want to break into that industry, right? I do not believe that civil cases are going to be televised, although I guess it's a case-by-case basis, right? Although, no, it wouldn't be, because all of these lawsuits are coming through the Southern District of New York. Am I wrong on that? Right? Everybody is filing in the Southern District of New York. I don't think we're going to see those televised, but I'm not 100% right on that. I mean, 100% sure on that. Why, thank you. That's a very kind thing to say. I'm having a pretty good time with this. I really am. And Hollywood is a cesspool. It is. And I'll tell you something. This is one of those situations, honestly, that there are times like if you're done reading one of the lawsuits, right? There's a lawsuit from a personal trainer. And I know a lot of you are law nerds. So a lot of you read the lawsuit from the personal trainer. And I'm not going to get into huge details because we'd probably get demonetized. But what I can tell you is the guy was drugged and he was conscious, right? But literally couldn't control himself. I mean, like couldn't make his body do things, but very much aware of the things that were going on around him. And he knew he was being passed around. And the way that he could tell was because of the different sizes of the people that were abusing him, right? You read something like that and you go through the entire case, or you read the one about the 13-year-old girl, you want to go take a shower, right? And like scrub yourself with bleach. It's a disgusting thing, isn't it? I mean, it's just, but I think that for a long time, when stuff like this came up, people went, who cares? Who cares? Right? These are just rich people doing rich people things. Or, hey, there's always been a casting couch, right? Where's the shocker? It's always been that way. Is what it is, right? That's a terrifying concept that we were cool with that for such a long period of time. And if we weren't cool with it, right, then we were ignorant of it. I guess you get a pass if you're ignorant of it. But none of us are ignorant of it anymore, right? So if you look away now, or if you just go, I don't care. If you say that now, well, then you're complicit. I'm sorry, you are. As a society, and the society doesn't end at Florida and Maine or at California. As in a world society, especially one that deals no matter where you go in the world, you're going to end up with a crap load of individuals, right, who are trying to get famous. There's this kind of dynamic everywhere. I don't care where you go in the world. There's somebody trying to become famous. And what a nightmare to have all of the talent, right? To be ready to do this and to find out that a guy says to you, yeah, that's all fine and dandy. But you're going to have to show your allegiance to us. You're going to have to prove that you can be trusted. And this is sort of an initiation to become part of the team. And then you get SA'd. And there's a video I'm going to be doing coming up where we're going to talk about some of the people that other people aren't talking about, right? Some of the people who allegedly liked to be able to force big bad rappers to do things to them, so that it was really about humiliation. And these are people that need to be outed. These are people whose names, they shouldn't be able to fly under the radar. They shouldn't be able to fly under the radar, right? When I was on with Courtney Burgess on the Sean Atwood program, you probably saw a picture of Justin Bieber about to lock lips, right, with a white dude. Shelton, you're an idiot. By the way, I loved Betty White. She was fantastic. She was just fantastic. Yeah. Regina Thatcher, thank you so much. I really appreciate the support. Thank you. I mean that. You guys are fantastic. Bunny Watts, you're cool. You're not that late. We're only about an hour and 8 minutes into this. The video of Diddy inviting the 13-year-old to the freak off, he was elated. You're right. And it was absolutely disgusting, right? But it's absolutely disgusting looking back through the eyes of 2024. And the proof of that? The proof of that is everybody in America saw him invite her to the after party. That was part of the show. In other words, when they go to commercial, sometimes they'll show the host or whatever backstage, or they'll show the next act that's getting ready to go on stage. Next up is the Thunder, and they're all backstage getting ready to get rolling with their instruments or whatever. So that was filmed for people to look at as they were going to commercial. And imagine if that was filmed like that this year. People would have lost their friggin' mind, right? But when that happened, we were just living in a very different world. And I'll tell you something, people. One of you, I'm not going to remember off of the top of my head, but somebody in my audience sent me an article or a screenshot of an article. of an author, right? A very famous author that said some stuff back in 2014 concerning the people who look at images of people who would not yet have, be able to drive an automobile, right? Those kind of disgusting individuals who end up with those kind of images on their computer and then end up going to federal prison behind it, right? Well, John Grissom said, well, thank you, my man. Appreciate you. It's my big brother. But just one of those really disgusting situations where, for all intents and purposes, he defended the people that were getting busted for that crime. And what he said is, in a lot of cases, there are people my age, right? People my age that never have touched a kid in their life, never done anything like that. But they get drunk or they're partying and then they type the wrong thing into the computer and they're looking at really long prison sentences. Right now, I think if you touch a kid or whatever, you should definitely get a lot of time. But if you're just looking, do you think people should be getting sentences that long? Now, he backpedaled like a monkey. As soon as he was done, he started backpedaling like you wouldn't believe. And he must have done a fairly decent job because it's kind of hard to find stuff about this. So big shout out. I need to thank the person by name. I'll do that on the next one. But this is just, you go, oh, why? Who? But then you start to realize that there's just this kind of pervasive attitude that seems to go through all of this, right? Through all of this entertainment, air quotes, this entertainment industry, right? There's tons of crap going on in this. There's tons of smoke. There's got to be tons of fire, right? There are people that just seem to accept it. By the way, big apology to Buddhist beer. There are names in these chats that are very close to one another, and I'm not going to say the name of the other person because they don't deserve. But Buddhist beer is a very solid member of this crew, and I make mistakes. I do it all the time. I'm always going to err on the side of kicking you off of the boat, right? And if I'm wrong, I'll come here and I'll apologize and I'll bring you back on. But I do want to protect the audience from people that are bad people. Cat C says, I think Pete Townsend got away with looking. A lot of people got away with it. What I'm disturbed about is all of the people that don't seem to have a problem with it, right? That you got to understand something. If you're listening to this and it's 5 years from now or 10 years from now or whatever, and if there's no demand, right, then there doesn't need to be a supply. It's assholes who go and look at that stuff is the reason that people make that stuff. Right? If nobody was willing to pay for it or to look at it, then there wouldn't be an issue. Shouldn't be that hard to figure out. Except for the temperature, I would imagine that it's very, very similar. However, not every time. By all accounts, right? By all accounts, some of these people will be unconscious, like they have been, shot with a dart, like you see in the where they take down big cats or they take down elephants or whatever. Like some of them are just out and you move them around. They're rag dolls, like the wife in France, whose husband did this for 10 years, right? 75 men or something along those lines for entertainment. But some of the people are just going to be unable to say no, right? And that doesn't mean into it. You understand? It's not that all of a sudden they get randy, right? Nothing like that. What it is the person is awake, but you can just sort of push the person into whatever situation. And that's kind of what was described by the personal trainer. Being so wasted that you literally couldn't get your arms to do what you wanted them to do. You couldn't get your legs to move the way you wanted them to move. However, what you are is awake, right? It's like anesthesia awareness. It's what could be worse on earth. Good God, man. Honestly, it's terrifying. You know what? Here's the thing. This is a great question, right? You know why this doesn't make sense to any of you? Huh? Because you're not weirdos. That for real, we're thinking about this because it's our only point of reference. We're thinking about this going, how could you be aroused, right? Sex is the only point of reference we have for what this dude's doing. So you think to yourself, as a logical individual would, when we talk about something like sex. So from the guy's standpoint, it's like, how could you get an erection, right? How could you be excited about this as a project? How is that even possible? Because it doesn't have anything to do with sex, and you can't look at it through that light. You can't look at it through that light. If you did, if this was about sex and you were Sean Combs, I would imagine that sex wasn't a hard thing to get if you just wanted to have sex. Sean Combs probably could have done whatever he wanted to do. This is about humiliation. It's about power. It's about control. Right? This is a really sick individual. Right? Bad Monkey Business. Good to see you. This is just really, really twisted and wrong. And I know that most of us sit around and scratch our head. Yeah, Kristen Melinda, who is smarter than me on such things, says it's about control. It really is. And he continued to use that control in his business as well, allegedly. And that's why the feds are taking him to court. Plain and simple. I forgot the name of the drug. Saw a woman accused her doctor of using that drug on her years ago. Rohypnol. If it was years ago, Rohypnol, flunitrazepam, something like that. That was very popular years ago. The stuff that Combs is talking about would be things like gamma hydroxybutyrate. That's what's being associated with his case. Also, ketamine has been brought up. Ecstasy, MDMA has been brought up. Yeah, it's any of the ones that can be used as a way to chemically restrain people. I mean, honestly, that's what you're doing. It's like a chemical restraint. You're giving somebody a chemical so that you can take advantage of them in any way you want. That's a disturbing thing. And the idea that you may be awake for it, the idea that it's possible that you're going to remember everything that happened to you, even though you're not conscious and able to do anything about it or whatever. How much would that destroy the rest of your life if it happened to you when you were 14? God help us, man. Became a member after years of lurking. A great commentary and a great community. Barbie's World, thank you. Really appreciate that. Thank you for the support. It means the world to me. It really does. You know what? I'm glad that somebody asked this, right? So my understanding is, because I've never had any, I was not the Spanish fly generation, but so many people reference Spanish fly recently while I've been talking about this that I did some research on it. And Spanish fly, according to what I could look up, more often than not was a myth of sorts, right? These were things that were supposed to make somebody horny. They were supposed to make somebody more excited about the sexual adventure. And there are some drugs that you can give, even natural stuff, that will do that, right? It'll get blood rushing to all the right places, and maybe that's what they were doing. But it's not the stuff that they're doing now. These are like GHB is more of an anesthesia than it is anything else. This is a very, very heavy drug, and it is a drug that can kill you. Right? Done improperly, this stuff will take you off the planet. Gamma hydroxybutyrate or gamma hydroxybutyric acid. This stuff is, if you Google River Phoenix and read about his death, right? GHB was very much a part of that, and that's disturbing. You know, it's disturbing that so many people may have ended up being unalived, right? Deborah Davies, thank you so much. You look fantastic in green. Ray Davies, one of my favorite entertainers of all time. Be a dragon. If you're going to be a dragon, be a dragon. Any thoughts on how pervasive, what is today, and how that is affecting society on the whole? Seems like Diddy was making sick stuff. He absolutely was. He absolutely was. And he was making it for the purpose of blackmailing people, controlling people. And I mean, it made, blackmail, we think of, hey, man, if you don't do this, I'm going to put this out. That doesn't even need to be ever said. You understand? It could just be one of those situations where if you're an artist on his label and you come over to the house and there's 5 people there, and the next thing you know, you're on the television, right? You're the next entertainment. Now, Cassie alleges this happened on an airplane with a video she thought had been deleted off of her phone. She deleted it herself. And he laughed at her and said, that doesn't do anything. If I want to get that back, I'll get it back. And they were on a plane days later, and he put it up on the wall, which is really just disturbing to me, right? But that's control. That's control. Without saying, I can put this out, I can, I'll put this on the web, I can sell this. No, I don't need to do any of that. The fact that he's got this. But I'll tell you what, people, if everything that was allegedly handed over to the people at the grand jury, if that really went down, if they got all of that stuff yesterday, this is really bad for the diddler. I don't think you can imagine just how bad this is for the diddler because of the underage element to this. We're going to get a superseding indictment, right? And their defense goes out the window. You can no longer say, "Oh yeah, well, we're just a couple of horny weirdos, and this is how we get down. I know you don't get down that way, but you don't kink shame me. This is how we love each other." It's not a great defense, in my opinion, right? But it's the only defense he's got currently. There's nothing else he can say. Cassie and I, this is what we did for love. Even if you say that, okay, so this is what you do for love. Did you pay any of the people that flew into your state to come to your hotel for a little love? Huh? Or did you threaten them to get there? Huh? How did you get them there? How did you take care of their fees? Right? Boy, oh boy, man. Boy, oh boy. And we know from some leaks that they have interviewed sex workers already for the grand jury this week, right? That leak has been out for a while. And the rumor is, don't know if this is true, but the rumor is one of them may have been Jonathan Odie. Either way, these were sex workers who were happy to go in there and say, yeah, we got paid to do this. There's your case. There's your case, right? You're paying people to go across state lines and abuse people for your entertainment while you rub one out. God help us. KP in Arizona. It's a beautiful day in Arizona, is it not? You look great in green. This is a great day to be an Arizonian. I'm telling you, man. It is so nice outside today. You would not believe it. You would not believe it. It's not even hot, which is always a shocker. When it starts getting cooler in Arizona, you're always like, you're waiting for the shoe to drop. And all of a sudden it's going to be like, 105 by 3 o'clock. But it's not that day. It's beautiful here, man. Beautiful. My Sharona, what's happening? Arabian, good to see you. I promise I'm not going back. For always, forever, for life, I am not going back. I got saved. I was really blessed that the gentleman that I met in prison took pity on me and helped me get sober. My best friend on earth. And we're going to be fighting to get him out, hopefully before Christmas, if not just after Christmas. But he came to help me against every odd. If you know anything about prisons, man, right? Especially prisons with high custody levels. I'm white, obviously. He was black. And in inside prison, that is just a really tough thing to make happen. In terms of friendships, it's just kind of a tough thing. The neither car really wants anybody hanging out with the other car. And I kind of get it, because a lot of times it causes drama in there, but saved my life. Shout out to Q. right? And Q's mom was watching for sure. Chrissy from Maui says, I have terrible stories involving GHB. People smash their bodies and crash their skulls, sweat, pee, bleed, moan. Yeah. Sounds like fun. It's horrible. There's a lot of designer kind of drugs that were put out to mimic gamma hydroxybutyrate. And this stuff is readily available. And I always struggle with this, right? Because what I don't want to do, I don't want to put out the name of the chemical so that people can go out and buy it, right? That's really not something that I want to do. I do kind of want to warn, people that have kids. I got to figure out a way to do that. Do it in a couple of different shows or whatever. But it's there are designer drugs out there that people can buy that are not illegal, and I promise you, it does exactly what GHB does. Exactly. And I know because I used to buy it. Used to buy it to go to sleep on. I had vicious insomnia for a really, really long time. And say what you will about GHB, right? It absolutely is probably the best medicine on earth for insomnia. It knocks you out. I mean, it does that. Any thoughts on his next bail hearing? What? Would you believe me if I told you on my notes, I wrote down that I needed to talk about the bail hearing? And I know what you're saying. You're like, this guy doesn't have notes. No, I really do. From time to time, I'll write some down. And I really did. Hold on one second. I absolutely did want to do. You got to check these things, people, because I've got so many of the people that are really hooking me up. Sorry. Ever thought of writing a book about my experience? My book is done. Johnny Scoville and I wrote a book. The only reason that you're not buying it right now is because we ran into, we had to have an attorney look at it again before we went, because there's just keeping it real. This is a book that talks about a lot of dirt, right? And a lot of stuff that we just wanted to make sure that we covered all of our T's and dotted all of our bases and whatnot. That kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? Any thoughts on the next bail hearing? Yeah, here's my thoughts. He hasn't got a snowball in hell's chance of getting bail, right? He doesn't. The way that he did with the whole Kalina Harper thing, where he was, making such an effort to reach out to these people who are witnesses, right? Call them whatever you want. They're on the witness list. And he's reaching out to them 50 plus times in a day. That's bad. What's worse is, and I've said this before, the feds like to put everybody on earth on their witness list, right? Everybody, just list out everybody if they're even closely associated. And the reason they like doing that is because it muddies the water, right? Makes it really hard if you're the defense to go, oh my God, there's 500 names on this. Who do you think they're really going to call? So somebody like, like the person that his sons decided to get around, right, and threaten for allegedly the fourth time. I promise you he's on that witness list. His kids probably put the last nail in the coffin, so to speak, on him not having an ability to get out, right? To not have an ability to get out of the joint. If there was any hope, and I don't think there ever was. I don't think that the feds are not gullible. The feds have seen a lot of stuff, Mazel tov. Thank you. I'm very much looking forward to getting the book out, and hopefully you'll all still like us after you read it. His kids are going to get arrested next if they don't stop stalking and attacking people. TC, boy, really hard to argue with that, isn't it? I mean, for real, that's exactly what's going to happen. Look at me touching the screen. See, I have a big boy computer that no longer has training wheels, and I'm smacking the thing like it's a touch screen. But I had to get a real computer, you see. The toy one wasn't working. What if he's made a deal now? FBI will look at missing private jet. I think that we're going to see him have to cut a deal. I don't think he's got a choice. I think that if What is alleged to be true is true. This yanks the carpet out from underneath him. He no longer has a defense. He can't say, hey, we're just a bunch of consenting freaks. She's a very kinky girl. Nope. The kind you don't bring home to mother. Can't do it. Right? That's not going to fly anymore. Now what you're going to have is you're going to have a dude that's busted. Right? No one's going to buy that. Now you got a guy that's busted with underage people. Underage people can't consent. Allegedly, all of the people that are in these 8 videos can't consent, regardless of age. Right? Jane Aldrich says, Tommy, you are the man. Well, thank you. And have the best crew. I do. No question, right? This is an amazing group of people. It really is. One of the least judgmental group of people on earth. I love the crew of the Lifeboat. I really do. Thank you for your support, Jane Aldrich. I really appreciate you. But it was the drugs that made him do it. Well, it was the drugs that made it easy, right? It was definitely the drugs that made it easy. And do you think he just knew to do that? How did he stumble across gamma hydroxybutyrate? How did he stumble across GHB and be good enough at it, right? That he isn't knocking people off of the globe. Now, you can say, how do we know he's not, Tommy? And I can't answer that. I do believe that there are bodies. I do believe there are bodies. 100% I believe there are bodies. Now, another one real quickly. Ava Baroni. You will see videos being made about this kid being missing, right? And the videos are slick. The way these are set up, it looks like you're looking at maybe a snippet taken from something like CNN or Fox News. There are chyrons going across the bottom of the screen. It looks legit as hell. And it is 30 or 40 minutes of them talking about how he adopted this little white girl. And so don't waste your time, man. I'm telling you that there's no truth to that story. There's not. I chased the Ava Baroni thing down, people. And I promise you, there's just not any smoke there. If there was, we'd be talking about it, right? I'm not trying to cover up for old Puffy. But the people that say he really did adopt her, you can't tell me that, right? Those records aren't available. Try it. Try chasing that record down and see what happens. They're not available. Those are private. Those are sealed. Those are court documents you're never going to get your hands on. In fact, you can't even find out if one exists. So he can say that he adopted somebody, and I can't say he didn't. But I can tell you that girl was not just a girl on the street. Their kids have been playing together for a really long time. It's there's not, if there was smoke there, I'd be on it. Yes. If they can put bodies on this fool, right? If they can put bodies on this fool, then he would be eligible to ride the light. He absolutely would. I'd rather have this guy spend the rest of his life in prison, not on death row. I think he should have to walk a yard. It's going to be a dropout yard, but nevertheless, he should have to be around guys, right? Not knowing which one wants to punch him in the face. Because every time a new bus gets in there, someone's going to go, is that Diddy? And some of them are going to be like, oh, wow, crazy. Wait till I tell my friends. And then there's going to be somebody that just grits their teeth and goes, okay, I promise you. Ask Larry Nasser. One of the sons has his eyes on the crown. Well, let me tell you something. Opinion, nothing but an opinion, right? This is the Tommy Scoville opinion, right? I'm not alleging this. This is just an opinion. I don't think a lot of them are really bright, right? And don't get messed up between, because I've done this. I've done it in the past, where you mess up vocabulary and intelligence. Or you mess up somebody's knowledge of a particular area, right? You probably don't know a lot about brain surgery. That doesn't make you stupid. It makes you not someone that's been trained in brain surgery. There are people in this case that talk way different than a lot of us do. And if you don't take the time to listen to what they say, then you're missing out on some really incredible info, because there's some people out there that are sharp as hell. Smart, just incredible, minds that are so analytical. And I listen to some of the takes from these people and go, holy hell, that's absolutely amazing, right? But you're going to have to listen to it 4 or 5 times. Don't get it messed up and think that vocabulary and intelligence are the same thing, because they're not. Gray Welts, or G-Ray. G-Ray, what's happening? Welcome to the boat. Thank you. You look fantastic in green. The apples, do the apples follow in the Father's footsteps? Yes. I think that they've already been following in his footsteps. Allegedly, we've got a video out there of a freak off, and father and son are in it together. That is alleged. Yee. What would happen if he pleads guilty as charged? Lighter or harsher sentences than maintaining his innocence? Oh boy, howdy. If in the federal system, you get an access, right? That is how they determine your sentence is like this. All right. Can you guys see that? Probably not. You see how there are 2 different accesses? That one on the bottom that goes through 1 through 5, that would be your criminal history. So if you got a 1, you've never been busted for anything. You've never been in any trouble, right? A 5 is me. Now, these over here on the vertical, it goes from 1, right, to 33. 33, 34 might be. But that 34, that is kidnapping, things like that. But you just take them and go to the 2 spots, run them together, and that's where your sentence comes in, right? If you plead guilty, they drop your the offense. So on the vertical axis, if you got caught throwing empty beers out on federal land, that's a 1, right? If you get caught kidnapping somebody and unaliving them, that's a 33. Okay, well, a bank robbery is a 21. If I plead guilty to bank robbery, we go 20, 19, 18. They drop 3 points down. That's a lot of time, especially depending on your criminal history. That's a lot of time. So Diddy could get, absolutely, he could get time knocked off if he pled guilty. More importantly, if you can't win, if you got no chance, if they got a video of you allegedly with a little Canadian underage boy, right? Because allegedly, that's what a lot of people think. That, again, if you read the book as it was sold on Amazon, there's a bunch of people that think that Justin Bieber is one of those 8 videos. A lot of people think that. If that's the case, right? If that's the case and Bieber's on one of these, then he needs to start looking at who he can turn in. He needs to start looking and saying, hey, you know what? I got a bunch of people that did this with me. Normally, when you turn someone in, they want someone above you, right? They want somebody above you, somebody really rich in this case, right? Somebody that's pulling the strings. That could happen, right? This just in. Surstroming. If you do not know what surstroming is, you're a happier person than I am. There you go. That's the smelliest fish on the planet. And I've been tricked into eating it on several occasions. All right. So, yeah, this is one of those rare occasions where the government would probably be really happy. You keep laughing, Calhoun. You're doing it too. This is one of those where you might not have to give up somebody above you. I mean, obviously, that's what they would like, right? They would like that. But think of somebody like a Jay-Z. That's a lateral movement. It might not be anybody above you, kind of a lateral movement. But if there were people who are participating in these with you, right? I look at it 2 ways. Number one, if he pleads guilty and he turns those people in, he can reduce his prison sentence by a grip. This is an opportunity for him to do a lot less time, right? You thought it was candy corn. You're a funny guy. You're a really funny guy. You have any idea, people, how much this explodes if everything that is on the that allegedly was turned over to them, if everything that was on there is really on there? You got any idea how this thing changes? For real. He no longer can defend himself. And at that point, he might decide to cut a deal to save his backside. He might have to. And you know what else he might do? He might burn it to the ground just because he's bitter as hell. Honestly, why would you soldier up? You already hear him on the alleged phone call, which I do believe is real, by the way. But you on that phone call, you can hear him. He's bummed out. Nobody's coming up. Jay's ghosting him. Why is it so quiet out there? Right? Nobody's talking, huh? Let them have their fun. I'll get the last laugh. He's gonna burn this thing to the ground, right? Why not? Why not? Why wouldn't you? Honestly, if you got no hope of winning, he strikes me as the kind of guy that might just be a little bitter. Pink Panther. Jeremy Shelton says they are all going down. Jay-Z, Beyonce, J-Lo, Susan Lucci. Don't badmouth Susan Lucci. That woman has never aged. She has looked exactly the same since I was probably 12. For real. Pink Panther, good to see you. I didn't really know we had a Pink Panther here. I was just doing the Henry Mancini, I believe, right? Didn't Henry Mancini do that? I wonder if they drugged Britney. Well, Jaguar Wright says that we really should be taking a good look at Britney. Look at people. I realize that being famous might make people do some really stupid things, right? It might. But let's look at that 70s show, right? That 70s show had Ashton Kutcher on it. It had Danny Masterson on it. It had Wilder Valderrama on it, right? A lot of smoke, right? A lot of smoke. Danny Masterson's fire. He went to prison, 30 years, right? For essaying a bunch of people. Just a lowlife. Hey, what happened to, what's that kid's name? The guy that played the lead in that. Would not hang out with any of them. He had a bad reputation while the show was still running, right? They were kind of unhappy that he just wasn't cool, right? He didn't want to go out and party and do all of those things. A genius is what he was, right? He saw exactly what Danny Masterson was. You know the point I'm getting at? The point I'm getting at is there are people out there. There are people out there that just go the other route. There are people out there that go, I'm not a dirtbag. I'm not hanging out with any of these people, right? They do exist. Ashton Kutcher, I don't think is one of them. I think Ashton Kutcher's a scumbag. And I think that the rumors of he and his girlfriend looking for a place to run like hell, right? Topher Grace, thank you, Jeremy Shelton. Topher Grace, yeah, wouldn't hang out at all. At all, right? Everybody else was going out and partying and having fun, right? Victimizing people, by all accounts. I would say that I think there's a decent chance they're going to run. I really do. I think there's a decent chance they're going to run. I think some people have already bailed, right? Allegedly. Where's Russell Simmons? Right? Where's Russell Simmons? Because everybody says Russell's gone. Yeah. The murder around Ashton is because Ashton dated a girl and they were getting ready to go to a party. He drives over to the woman's house, apartment, whatever, and gets out of the car. And as he's getting ready to go in the house, he looks through a window. He sees her lying on the floor, or doesn't see her lying on the floor, sees a red stain on the floor. And from that window, he thought probably red wine, right? And that was it, right? Went to the party. Only that's not what happened because you can't see the stain. You can't see the body. You couldn't see anything from the window. This has been looked at. What he did was he opened the door and he went inside and he saw the girl that he had been dating laying on the floor, dead. A victim of the Hollywood Ripper or the Hollywood Slasher. I'm sorry, the Hollywood Slasher. Him BSing the police, right? They knew who did it. But what he did was he allowed his lies, allowed the Hollywood Slasher to continue to do what he was doing. And there were more victims. because when he saw the body, instead of calling 911, he went outside, sat down in his car, and allegedly called Danny Masterson. Then he called his agent because Hollywood, right? I mean, there's a dead girl in there, but holy crap, I'm making good money on a sitcom. You know what I mean? Like, this is a girl that I obviously cared for because we've been dating about a month, but that 70s show, right? Modeling gigs? No, I'm not about to ruin my career. And when he called Danny Masterson, who the most stand-up, religion on earth is the Scientologist. So when he called Danny Masterson was like, "No, man, get out of there. This is your career. This is how you will be known for the rest of your time. You will be tied to this case forever. Get out of there. Get out of there." And he did. Solid dude. How come he wasn't done for obstructing or tampering? Well, it's a good question. LAPD suck, right? I don't live in LA, so I feel really good saying that. Russell was absolutely married to Kimora. Absolutely, he was. Yeah, I have a real problem with this cat. I'll be really honest with you. I just have a real problem with this cat. And it's just, how you get vibes. And this is not something, by the way, my kid could probably back me up on this. But this is not a vibe that I got after all of this started. When that kid started to do even that 70s show, and I loved that show. I really did. I never liked him. Just got a bad feeling about that dude, honestly. And then when he did Punked, and you could see him sort of being more of himself and less of a character, I thought, yeah, there's not a doubt in my mind that this dude's no bueno. No bueno. What about YouTube thumbnails that says certain celebs that are fleeing the country, but then end up at pop and then end up pop up at Kamala rallies? Well, here's the thing, right? If I put out a video, right, and I say on the video, Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis run from America, I'm going to get a hell of a lot of views. I'm also going to lose any kind of credibility. And a lot of the channels that you see don't give a rat's what about credibility because they're computer generated. The voice you're hearing, Suge Knight, right? Nobody says Suge. if the voice you're listening to doesn't get Suge Knight correct, you're listening to a computer generated. These are people that are writing this to a lot of money, right? Views get you paid. Make no mistake, right? If this is what you do for a living, views make you money. And these people are willing to lie for the purpose of getting views. But you know what? When the Diddy case is over, they will be too, right? Or even before then, because you can't keep lying one thumbnail after another, right? Eventually people start going, nah, nothing they say is real. I don't ever want to be that person. If I screw up, I'll come on and say I screwed up. It's kind of how I get down. Yeah, I couldn't stand Punked either. And I don't know. I know, sound like every other convict on planet Earth, right? But a lot of the jokes that he did involved fake police. Man, if you did a joke on me that there was a warrant out for my arrest that's taking me to prison, man, I'm gonna rub you out, dude. Like when that joke's over, I'm going in there and stomping you out like a brush fire. I wouldn't have it. That's not funny stuff, man. You start playing with something like somebody's freedom, and in some cases, people that had been arrested before, beat the bark off of him if he did that to me. Just not funny. Not funny at all. Yeah, so much clickbait. I usually look at the amount of followers and likes, and then I take a stroll through the comments before watching. That's actually really intelligent. If you scroll through the comments, you're going to come across people that will put up there for your benefit, this story is complete BS, right? You see 2 or 3 of those, there's a reason for that. There usually is a reason for that. Yeah, one channel has really gone down the lies route, says no funds coffee machines. Yeah, there are some hideous ones, man. I've really seen some just awful clickbait. Warren clickbaity. All right, people. That brings us to about the hour and 50 mark. Hold on. All right, people. I was just checking. We're going to call this one a wrap. I will be back later today. And we will fire this thing up and do it again. Thank you for stopping in. If you've not hit subscribe, please do that. Do you hear what I said there? If you've not hit subscribe, go ahead and do that. And hit the bell for notification. Hit the bell for notification. And that way, when I go live, you can pop in here. The squirrel, you know the problem? Seriously, you know why squirrel's not in the basket anymore? It's because Johnny Scoville is back at the house. And my cat is she's a tramp. For real, she's a tramp. You know, loves me, only me, till Johnny gets here. And then within a week or so, she's just curling up next to him just as much as she does me. She's just, you know, it is what it is. To the mods, thank you so much. You are the best mods in all of YouTube. You really are. And you guys are the best crew. I really do love you guys. Between now and the next time I see you, reach out and try to save somebody. God bless.